Hi, this is Jason Fisher. I'm excited to be here with you today. This will probably be one of the most profound videos in regards to multi-level marketing that you've ever heard, and why so many people struggle in this industry and find it hard to earn long-term residual income. And I feel that I have the right to speak about this because I started my journey in this industry at 17 years old. By the age of 19, I was making $10,000 a month, bought my first $1.5 million home by age 21, had over 5,000 distributors within my business, and over the next few short years after that success, that organization dwindled down to 56 people that were active out of 5,000 people. I went on a mission to find out why that happened and why that is so common in the industry as a whole, why so many people jump from company to company trying to figure out the secret of earning long-term residual income. Well, we figured it out. I finally found out why that happens consistently in the industry, the problems that create that situation, and more importantly, the solution if we're going to earn long-term residual income. So after everything fell apart and I went from 5,000 to 56 people, I sat there and all of a sudden an important universal principle came to my mind. And the unbelievable thing is most industry leaders don't understand this principle and how important it is when it's applied to this industry. But I will tell you this, if the principle is applied correctly, there's massive success with lots of residual income. And if it's applied incorrectly, there's massive failure with no residual income in the end. And the universal principle that we're talking about today is the 80-20 rule, meaning that the world is made up of the 80-20. 80% of people don't do much while 20% do something, or 80% of the money is earned by 20% of the people. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Take 10 doctors, 10 lawyers, 10 chiropractors, 10 cab drivers. 2 are going to shine and 8 aren't going to do too much, and it's a universal principle that you can't break. And when we apply it to the network marketing industry, the numbers are the same. 80% of people don't do much while 20% of people do something. Well, then I started thinking, well, what makes this industry work, or what makes the type of businesses work? Numbers. Numbers equal orders. Orders equal residual income. And whoever has the most numbers ordering at the end is going to have the most residual income. The question is there a difference between business model to business model with the outcome at the end? And I'm here to tell you that there is. There's a major difference. Well, I started thinking about, if this business is about numbers, then I need to have the most numbers on the board. So I need to go find something that the 80%ers can do, because what I was in was a 20%er deal. The only people ordering at the end were the 20%ers that were trying to stay qualified for their bonuses, their overrides, and their residual income. I didn't have something for the 80s. Who are the 80s? The 80s is the average Joe or Mary, my mother, my sister, my brother, the person that doesn't have any sales experience, doesn't have a lot of drive or tenacity. They're not good at handling rejection, and they're not good at justifying expensive products or services that are new buying habits in people's lifestyle. They're not good at justifying expensive things out in the marketplace that people wouldn't buy long term. Well, when we looked at the industry, it became very clear that the industry didn't have a business for the 80%ers. Because when we looked at the landscape of the MLM industry, they were all 20%er deals. From the price point of the product, the only people that could justify it were the 20%ers. The compensation plans were written for the 20%ers. The only people that could do the sales quotas monthly were the 20%ers. And then all of a sudden, the clouds parted, the problems and the solutions became very clear. And that is that all these companies have great products. They all have great services, but they all do something very, very wrong. And that is that when someone gets involved with these type of businesses, their buying habit starts changing and their budget starts changing to the tune of $120 to $200 to $250 to $300 a month in products that they never bought before and that they will never buy long term. And when they show their face as the 80%er and they find it hard to do that type of business because they can't justify those type of products in the marketplace, 90 to 120 days after joining, what's the first thing that they cancel? They cancel their auto ship, their monthly consumption of whatever they started buying that they weren't buying 90 to 120 days ago. And not only do they quit the business, but here's the most important piece. They also quit being a number on the board, and they quit being a customer because it didn't make financial sense to stay as a customer. I said to myself, if I could find a business on 2 levels, I was going to have a huge home run. The first was find a business that the average Joe, the average Mary, the average 80%er could do, they could win at, and they can make money at, and where they didn't have to justify new buying habits. And here was number 2. Find a business that whether the 80%er took action or not, whether they made it happen or not in the business, they still stayed as a customer, and they had overwhelming value to at least stay as a consumer because it made sense to put their money in this store every single month, whether there was a financial gain or not. And once I understood this principle and this concept of the 80-20 and how important it is when it's applied to this industry, my life changed. This little information that we just went over, if you get it, it will change your life forever, because it is absolutely the reason why people either have success or not in this industry. So let's just be clear why multi-level marketing loses the 80%ers and why they come off the board and why the industry always has the problem with keeping people active. It comes down to three things. The products in the MLM industry do not compete in the real marketplace against other leading products within their category. They're 2 to 3 times the actual cost. And that is why people do not stay long-term as a long-term customer of an MLM company's products, is because the products are overpriced. Understand this, that if the products are overpriced, we're not going to keep customers. And if the products are overpriced and we're asking people to justify luxury items on top of it, the 80%ers are going to find it difficult to build the business, and they're eventually going to quit as a customer themselves. Number 2 is the sales quotas. What the MLM company is asking people to consume every single month to stay actively qualified in their business. $120 a month in coffee, or $150 or $200 a month in juice. That's not only products that people never bought before at prices that they would never buy long term, but you're asking people to consume more than what they would normally consume just to stay actively qualified. That is the number 2 reason of why we lose the 80%ers. And here's the third reason, is the majority of people in any MLM organization, they never get a check. They never get a commissionable check. Pay the least amount of people within an organization a paycheck, and that's how you will rot away the 80%ers and lead you down to nothing when it comes to long-term residual income. Understand, products not competing in the multi-level marketing industry is the biggest problem. And then asking people to buy more than what they normally would buy is the biggest problem. Multi-level marketing stands for multi-levels of distribution. In most cases, outside manufacturer makes the products, they mark it up and sell it to the MLM marks it up and sells it to the distributors or the reps, and then the distributor and the reps double the cost and sell it to the end-line consumer. And by the time the product gets down to the end-line consumer, an MLM, it does not compete in the real marketplace against other leading products. That is the problem of why we lose the 80%ers. So to prove and substantiate what I was just talking about with losing the 80%ers, let's look at the industry stats. Here's what might shock all of you. There's 8 or 9 billion-dollar MLM companies in the United States. Now understand this. This is where it gets scary. Only 5 to 11% of their sales is domestic, is in the United States. Meaning that these companies, the majority of their business is overseas. They've scorched enough territories outside of the United States to successfully come up with $1 billion plus corporation. But what it shows is that there's no long-term consumption in any one marketplace because they don't have real customers buying real products long-term. The only people that are active or staying active in an MLM company in any one marketplace are the 5%ers and the 20%ers that are trying to stay active for their bonuses, their overrides, and their residuals. There's no real customers buying real products. And when you look at these billion-dollar MLM companies, they're all in 40 to 50 to 60 to 130 countries, having 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7% in every single country and coming up with a successful story in the sense of sales. But where is the success of the long-term residual income if there's no long-term consumption in any one marketplace in the history of the MLM industry? That's scary. The story sounds great as a whole, but in reality, when you only have 5 to 11% in the United States, Amway only has 5% of its $12 billion in the United States. They've scorched enough territories where they came up with $12 billion. But where is the long-term residual income if there's no consumption? It became very clear to me. So let's talk about the solution. This is the most exciting part. It's real simple, the solution. All we have to do is 3 things. Number 1 is have consumables that people have to buy and have them for all. Have necessity products, have to buy products. Don't create a new buying need or a new budget in someone's life. Create products that people have been buying their whole life, but make them more natural, more green, which is a big thing in today's society, but have necessities that people have to buy, have to use, and have to reorder. It's not a choice or a choice of buying. Here's number 2, price them 30 to 50% less grocery store pricing, less Walmart pricing, less Costco's or BJ's. If you've got necessities that you've got to buy and you've got the products 30 to 50% less than where you've been buying, you're going to stay as a customer. And here's number 3, make the partnership between the consumer and the manufacturer. Instead of having multi-levels of distribution, have it just from the consumer with the manufacturer, where the manufacturer is only asking someone to buy a few products a month, a very low monthly qualification, instead of the average of $150 to $200 to $300 a month and things that people never bought before. Drop that 2 to 3 times lower. Have it be $50 to $60 instead of the hundreds of dollars in products you never bought before. If you've got that, then you've got a solution that will provide long-term residual income and long-term customers buying for a lifetime. So we found an established company that has over 60% of its business in the United States. Unlike the typical MLM industry average of the billion-dollar companies that have 5 to 11% of its sales in the United States, we have 60%, which proves, if we have 60%, that we're keeping the 80s on the board and we have real products that compete in the real marketplace, which is huge, creating lifelong residual income. We're growing like a startup company, but we're not a startup company. We grew by over $160 million in the last 24 months, which is just absolutely incredible. Having consumables for all is the key, as we just mentioned, but we have 400 plus consumables, things that people have to buy, have to reorder, and have to purchase every single month, not spending any new money whatsoever. So we have pricing 30 to 50% less grocery store pricing, which is huge, less Walmart and Costco's and BJ's, as well as the partnership with the manufacturer to buy at wholesale every month and to stay qualified to earn commissions. It's $50 to $60 a month. Out of 400 necessities that are priced below grocery store pricing, it's absolutely brilliant and it works. There's no new money and there's no new buying habits. This information has literally not only changed my life, but has changed the lives of thousands of other people. I am so happy that I've learned this information and that it finally became very clear on what the industry problems are and, more importantly, what the solution is if we're going to throw our time and our energy and our reputation into something to produce massive success when it comes to this industry of earning lifelong residual income. I'm excited to share this journey with you, and I appreciate you listening to this information today. If this information made sense, please fill out your information below to find out the business model that we chose to partner up with, and so that we can answer any further questions that you have. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.